Hey Leo, hope you're doing all right. So I'm just coming out to sort out a few things out here, and I wanted to give you another message this morning about dealing with or identifying some principles around leadership. And as you know, had the opportunity of, let me just pick up this bin for the neighbours here. You know that I've had an opportunity of dealing with a number of different companies in my career, and leadership is a principle that I've lived around. You know, I've seen good leadership, bad leadership, and particularly more recently, people that are put in leadership positions that aren't necessarily ready for them. But the key distinction, I think, for leadership is that, you know, you want to be the kind of leader that people want to follow, not because they have to, but because they choose to. There are essentially two different types of leadership. There's leadership on the basis of what we would call moral authority, and then there's leadership on the basis of formal authority. And formal authority is bestowed leadership. It's leadership that's given to you. It's a position, it's a job title. Whereas the opposite of formal authority, which is moral authority, is leadership that you take as a choice to run your life the way you think is appropriate. And you know, the thing is about moral authority is that people will follow you if you're the kind of person that they feel they can trust. The foundation of all good leadership is trust. Actually, it's not trust, it's trustworthiness. Trust is a byproduct of trustworthiness. So if you can become trustworthy and people trust you, then you'll be able to lead with moral authority rather than formal authority. So there's a story told about a guy. This is a true story. In 1925, a guy by the name of Herman Krannert, he was a senior executive with a company called Sefton in the US, and on one occasion he was summoned to Chicago by the president of the company. He had no idea why he was to go, so he flew from Indianapolis, Indiana to Chicago. He sat down at the athletic club and had lunch with the president of the company. And the president said, "Herman, we're going to make an announcement today in this company that will greatly impact your life. We're going to promote you to Senior Vice President of Sales and put you on the board of directors. What do you think about that?" Well, Herman was absolutely blown away. He said, "Mr. President, I had no idea I was even being considered for this promotion. I want you to know that I'm going to be the most loyal employee this company's ever seen. And more importantly than that, I will dedicate my life and my team's life to making this the finest company in America." Well, the president of the company said to him, he said, "Well, Herman, I'm really gratified you'd say that, because as a member of the board of directors, you will vote exactly the way I tell you to. Have you got that?" Well, Herman went silent. He's sitting there eating his soup at the athletic club, and he's thinking to himself, "I've just got this promotion. The president of the company's told me that he values me, but he said that I can only stay in this position if I vote the way he tells me I have to vote." So he's sitting down, he takes the wind out of his sails somewhat, and then he decides, he says, "I can't work for an organization like this." He stands up, confronts the president of the company and said, "Mr. President, I'm sorry, I cannot accept a promotion like this. I will not be in a puppet on a board of directors for anyone. And more importantly than that, I will not subject my team to this kind of behavior. I'm leaving the company." And with that, he stormed out of the room, got on an aeroplane, flew back home, met his wife at the airport, and he said, "Honey, you'll be pleased to hear today I got promoted. Senior Vice President of Sales, put on the board of directors, and I left the company." She said, "Why did you do that for?" Well, he explained the situation. She was very gracious, and she said, "Well, I suppose you're going to have to find something else." Which is what he did, because 7 nights later, his team, 5 people of his team, knocked on his front door at home and said, Herman, we heard what you did. That's the greatest thing we've ever heard. We left the company too. We left Sefton. And he said, you did what? They said, yeah, we left the company. And he said to them, well, what are you going to do for a job? And they said, well, we don't know, but we think we're going to go for work. We're going to go to work for you. And he said, well, how are you going to go to work for me? I don't even have a job. They said, we know, but we want to work for you. And that night, those 6 individuals sat around Herman Kranit's kitchen table and started a little company called the Inland Container Corporation, one of the largest shipping companies at the time in America. Now, the interesting thing about that is that he had an opportunity to make a difference based on his idea of moral authority rather than formal authority. His team chose to follow him because they felt like he was the kind of leader that they wanted to work for. And good leaders always command the respect of their followers based on moral authority rather than formal authority. If I have formal authority, it's power over you. If I have moral authority, it's power with and through you. You know, we're working together on this rather than you're working for me. Or I'm asking you to do this task, this activity, because I know I'd be willing to do it, and I know that you can do it. It's going to help you to improve your situation, get better, and do all the things that we say we're committed to. So the thing here is that leadership is one of those things that it's hard to define, but you know it when you see it. And a definition for leadership that I came up with a few years ago is that leadership is the ability to get people to do what you want them to do and have them want to do it. Leadership is the ability to get people to do what you want them to do, but have them want to do it. See, I was reading up on this the other day, and the Greek root word for management essentially means to handle, whilst the Greek root word for leadership means to go. And good leaders know the difference between moral authority and formal authority. They understand that to get people to follow you, you have to be the kind of example and give them the opportunities to grow and develop that will really make them feel like they're on your team. So essentially, that's really the message for today, that just understand the difference between moral authority and formal authority. Both command definitions of leadership, but if you want to be a great leader, you need to understand the principle of formal and moral authority. All right, I think that's it for today. The message was a quick one, but hopefully you'll get something out of that, and I'll put another one up tomorrow. All right, buddy, take care. Love you. So I just had one last thought on this, the idea of moral authority and formal authority, and the story of Herman Kranit is an interesting one, but there's one thing that I forgot to say, and it's this. If stripped of your title, would people still choose to follow you? Let me say that again. If stripped of your title, would people still choose to follow you? If you've got formal authority and that formal authority is taken away, do people still want to go with you? Do they still want you to lead them? And that really is the acid test of leadership. If stripped of your title, would people still choose to follow you? All right, that's it for today. I'll see you soon.